Aloha, California, and Hawaii's NAPS Convention delegates. Hey, this is Brian Wagner, your National Secretary-Treasurer. I'm sorry I can't be with you there today, but I'm going to Chicago for the Illinois State Convention. Our theme is the Roaring Twenties, but I think they mean temperature. But anyway, what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about Secretary-Treasurer duties. Your Regional Vice President, Marilyn Walton, and Pacific Area Vice President, Hayes Cherry, asked me to do about, a couple hours worth of video, but don't worry, we're not going to go that long. What I want to do is touch a little bit about Secretary-Treasurer and start off with going through the flavor of the day, macadamia nut. Okay, I have my videographer, Seth Lennon, here helping me out. If it appears I'm kind of off balance a little bit, I have a dairy deficiency. So I have to eat ice cream almost on a regular basis. So if I'm just stumbling around, don't worry. We'll get back on play. But I better take my sunglasses off because we are inside, even though it's sunny here in Washington, D.C. So let's get started. I'm going to be looking down a few times because I have some notes. I thought about a PowerPoint presentation. But you know what? I kind of thought that probably wouldn't be the best. So I'll have some notes and I'll just point. But if all else fails, I can do hand puppets. Here is the bird of paradise. So let's get moving with our NAPS tracking the Treasury. We're going to talk about banking and accounting. Now, if I start going too fast, just listen faster. I know we're trying to get this video done quite quickly. I know it's a tall order, but being this short, I have to climb. So let's talk about officers training. Go to the officers training manual on the NAPS website. And if you look at Chapter 4, it talks about treasurer duties. Please, at naps.org, go there, download the officers training manual. It's an excellent resource for you. So let's first talk about banking and accounting for the branches. First, establish a bank account. And make sure you have a tax ID number on that account. Not a branch member's social security number. A tax ID number. Because you want to make sure that the bank has it under your branch name. If you don't have a tax ID number, you need to go to the irs.gov and get one. If you need help, call me. But don't call me right now because I'm doing the video. But we're going to move forward with that. Okay, so one, get your bank account, get that tax ID number, which is also an EIN number, and then what you're going to do is do signature cards for those who can take the money out of the bank for your branch. A signature card is the officers. You want at least 3 people on that signature card. And you want to look at those who used to be on the bank account and may still be on that signature card and used to be officers. You need to take them off. Very important. Authorization for signatures of the checks. Who's going to sign checks to pay branches' expenses, to reimburse a branch member? A good thought point here is this. And if I sound squirrely, it's the echo in here, not just my voice. First, if I'm the branch president and I have expenses coming to me, I should not write a check out to myself. That should be done by the secretary, the treasurer, or maybe the vice president. Now then usually the treasurer will write checks out to the officers. And if the treasurer is going to get reimbursed, then it should be signed by the president or another branch officer. Make sure when you're doing the banking and accounting, make sure you get the monthly bank statements. And make sure that you check all verified deposits, withdrawals, all the checks, and any outstanding checks. Those have been cashed and those that haven't been cashed. You definitely want to verify the branch expenses against what maybe you voted on. Did you vote to send people to LTS? How much? Did you pay these expenses for a scholarship? You want to verify and approve the expenses. Verify that the disbursement against the approved expenses. If you approved a $1,000 expense, did you write a check for $1,200 or $800? You want to make sure the expense matches the check. You want to review the checks for correct payment and signatures. Keep ledgers by accounts, such as transportation, state conventions, LTS, postage, meetings, things like that. You also want to make sure you balance your accounts, both your savings and your checking. Let's face it, you probably have a checking account at home. You should be balancing it every month. No different than your branch accounting, your branch checking account. Make sure you're doing that balance. And present a written report at each branch meeting of the treasurer's report. The members need to know what's happening with their money. the organization's money. It's not your money, it's the branch's money. So all the members need to know what's happening. Probably the best way to do this is to create a voucher system. Very simple. You establish vouchers through itemized categories. You need to establish a receipt policy. Maybe you reimburse for every receipt. Or maybe it's for anything over a certain amount. You definitely want to offset any cash advances with a voucher. So make sure that if I was to receive $1,000 to help pay for some LTS expenses, transportation, hotel, when I do my voucher and I'm owed, my expenses are $1,200, but I already received $1,000, that I'm only going to get reimbursed for the $200. So you need to make sure that happens. You want to make sure your disbursements matches the approved amount approved. I think I was redundant, but you want to make sure, according to my notes, because I don't have a PowerPoint, remember, I'm just pointing with my power. You want to make sure that your disbursements matches approved voucher amount. Again, voucher's $1,000, that's what I'm supposed to be reimbursed. What I've done, since I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, it is on the NAP's website under Forms and Documents. We do have a whole section there on Secretary-Treasurer files on how to on different documents. One would be a sample voucher. Here's just a simple one. If you can't see it, move closer to the screen, all right? If not, don't worry about it. Go to the NAP's website, and there's sample vouchers. There's a full one page here. Here's another one. Actually, it's a two-pager. The first page is your totals. The back page is an Excel spreadsheet. And what happens with that is when you add the numbers in, it will total to the front. Very simple. But create a voucher system for your branch. One of the things I want to talk about that many branches have been doing, and I just want to be clear on this, many branches will compensate an officer with a stipend or a gratuity, or maybe reimburse them for their dues for being an officer. I just want to let you know, that type of stipend, gratuity, or reimbursement of branch dues to the officer is a taxable expense, is taxable to the member receiving it back. That's just something to think about. So if you have any questions on that, please call me. Another thing we want to kind of look at doing is managing your dues checkoff list. What's the dues checkoff list? That's your membership report. That's what you get every month from NAP's headquarters. It tells you who's in your branch, how much dues they're paying, and their OC code, and if there's any different status changes, whether they've retired or separated. Again, you can find those in the officer's training manual under the third chapter. Again, here's my PowerPoint. So here's some things to look at we're going to go over, is the dues checkoff. You may see an adjustment in ADJ. Sorry about that. I need some water, but that's okay. I told my assistant, I told Seth, get me one of those drinks with an umbrella so that I can party with the rest of you there in Hawaii. But ADJ is an adjustment. That could happen when the post office, somebody's off on leave without pay, maybe out on an extended leave, and they get their, in a non-pay status, and they get reimbursed for their back pay. Somebody cancels. That means somebody dropped out of NAPS. So we want to make sure that the 1188 that they did submit, we go back to them and see if they can't want to join NAPS again. You can see a decrease. You've decreased your dues, or somebody came from a branch that was paying, let's say, $12 a pay period, to your branch that's paying $10. You'll see a decrease. And there's also an increase, an INCR. When that happens is, either you, the branch, increased your dues, or somebody came from a branch that had less dues to a branch with higher dues. The no deduct, N-O-D-E-D. Oh, that's what's happened when somebody is in a non-pay status. NAPS is still taking the $3.50 per pay period from that member, but you need to collect the dues from that member locally. That means the member's not having a check, but we are taking the dues, but they're not paying the branch. A new employee means you just signed up somebody with an 1187, thank you very much, and you should get a $25 check from NAPS headquarters for signing up that new member. A retiree, RET, somebody's retired, that means they're not going to be an active member anymore, but a great opportunity to make them an associate member. Then we have the people who are separated, SEP. Either they quit the post office or they were removed. Those members cannot become NAPS members as an associate because they weren't a member in good standing at the time of retirement. Sometimes you'll see on your dues checkoff an asterisk next to the name of a person. That means we don't have a good address at NAP's headquarters. So they're not getting their postal supervisor. And we really need you to look at those asterisks and notify us of their good address. Now, just so for more samples, since I have, show and tell, this is just a copy of a dues checkoff. Again, move closer if you can't see it. Similar to that is a non-member report you'll get every month. It looks almost like the dues checkoff, but it says non-member at the top. And then what we have is this change summary report. What happens there is somebody's moved from one branch to another, you'll be notified. Somebody got a promotion or changed finance numbers out of your branch, and what you'll do is be notified by that. So those are some things to remember. You're probably scratching your chin and saying, Brian sure does look different. What's going on with him? I know what it is. I always look taller in video. That's what it is. So don't worry about that. One of the things we talked about is membership and paying the dues. You need to make sure you collect and protect the dues of the branch. And I just want to give you some information, and of course this is another power and point. Our membership has been trending down, but we've been stabilized pretty good. You need to make sure that with membership, you're collecting the dues and you're protecting it in that you're making sure that those who are members and the no deduct have paid you. I will tell you this, as of our current membership rolls, we're a little over about 25,500, about 1,380 associates. There were a little over 24,000 active. We're doing good, but we can always do better. So, again, dues assessment. Are you charging the right amount of dues for your branch to be able to operate? Are you collecting the $3.50 per pay period for those members who are in a no deduct status? Now, associate members pay $1.75 per pay period. But they don't pay that to NAP's headquarters. They're going to pay that directly to you, the branch. So you need to make sure that at the beginning of the year or quarter, however your branch does it, that you're collecting your associate members' dues and make sure they stay in good standing. Because the thing is, the dues helps you manage and be able to budget for the activities you're doing for your branch and for your states. Let's face it, to go to this state convention, or joint state here in California and Hawaii, I know we're here in sunny Washington, D.C., and I'm going to Chicago, but I'm hoping you're enjoying your time. But there is business to be done, and probably one of the biggest businesses is the budget. Make sure you do a branch budget. Make sure that you prepare it annually. You review the dues assessment to make sure that you're charging the right amount of dues to be able to function properly as a branch. Can you cover branch operations? Such as membership meetings, going to state conventions, national conventions, LTS, supporting your scholarships. There is so much your branch does, but it does cost money to do. So make sure you're charging the right amount. You need to approve and, of course, monitor your branch budget. Sometimes things change. You didn't get as many people signed up, or maybe you got a windfall somehow of more members. So maybe you can do more with your scholarships. And, of course, you would always adjust your branch budget accordingly. And probably one of the biggest things that I'd like to see branches do, you do a budget, and then at the end of the year, you compare it with the actual expenses. That's what we do here at NAP's headquarters in the fall, at the October fall board meeting. Our fiscal year ends May 31st. We've done the previous budget. We put together the information and show the executive board, here's what we budgeted, and here's what we actually spent. So it gives us an idea of where we're going in the future. So speaking about budgets, again, this is power and point. Here's just a sample budget, what I call a 3-year budget, from 2015, 16, and 17. It gives you a guide where you're going and what you may need in the future. So again, if you can't see it, just sit closer to the screen. But this is all on the NAP's website, under Forms and Documents. So this is a 3-year projected budget. Here's a 1-year budget. Straightforward. This branch is going to end $130 to the good. That's great. So the end of the year comes, then what happens? Aha! We put together the actual versus the proposed budget and see how you did. Oops, we kind of had a little negative here. We kind of overspent. But at least it shows you what's happening with the funds of the branch, and the members can see that. That is transparency. And we want to make sure it's accurate. You're doing branch budgets, that's great. You're spending the money, that's wonderful. Because you're supporting the members and promoting the welfare of the members. I can't say enough. I could go on, but we'd go more into this video. But one of the things you want to make sure you're doing when you're spending all this money, you also want to make sure you do an audit, an annual audit of your branch finances. Very important. Just like at the beginning of what I talked about, where you're going to balance your checkbook every month and compare the expenses against the withdrawals and so forth and deposits, you definitely want to do an annual branch budget. You want to make sure that you collect the monthly statements, you verify the deposits and the withdrawals, you verify the approved expenses. Were they approved to be spent? Did somebody spend something they weren't supposed to? You want to make sure the checks match up to the amount of the what was dispersed. And you want to make sure that you present a written audit report and recommendations to your branch. The other thing is, anytime you change branch officers, financial officers, treasurer comes in, goes out in mid-term, you need to do an audit. You do an annual audit, but anytime you change officers, you definitely want to do an audit for when you change branch officers. Because it really makes sure that the integrity and the transparency of the branch's finances are maintained. I should always start this part of my presentation at the beginning because this deals with the IRS tax filings. Now, some branches are considered nonprofit by IRS guidelines, and others aren't. But if you are filing for nonprofit, there is an annual tax filing called a 990. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail on that, but if you are nonprofit, you need to file your taxes, the 990, by the 15th day of the 5th month at the end of your fiscal year. That's a mouthful. But let me tell you this. It's very simple. Your fiscal year ends December 31st. The 15th day of the 5th month, January, February, March, April, May, 15th is when you would have to file. So, those of you who are nonprofit, tax exempt, ended your fiscal year December 31st of last year, by this May 15th you would have had to have filed your 990. And you're thinking, Brian, we're not nonprofit. What are we supposed to do? Well, technically you're supposed to be filing a corporate income tax return. But this is what I'm encouraging branches to do. Consider filing nonprofit. Again, it can seem like a lot of work, but a commitment I made at the LTS when I gave Secretary Treasurer training. I will help do your paperwork for you. I'm not going to do it all. I will give you the information you need to present to me, and I will put your paperwork together, send it back to you, you review it, and of course your branch has to write the check to the IRS because there is a cost. But I will do the legwork because I think it's very important that branches really maintain their financial integrity and do what's right for the membership. So, that's kind of like, thank you, do you have any questions? But it probably is going to be hard to ask questions right now. Not that because I'm on video, but because when I'm timing this video, you're probably still in bed in Hawaii. So what do I know? But I want to wish you the best for a great Hawaii, California convention. And I told Seth, my videographer, I got to have a glass of toast them with that umbrella in it. So, I'm going to step out of the shot real quick. This is the best we could do. But I want to wish you a great Hawaii, California joint convention. I toast you. Have a wonderful time. Aloha and mahalo. Thank you.